And what is going on, everyone? And welcome to another very special Houston Texans football edition on the Bleacher Report Network. I am one part of your show, Ruben Calavillo, dropping daily Houston Texans content on my YouTube channel, 713 Houston Sportscast. My co-host Harley doing Texans, Astros, Rockets at the lead _Houston. We want to shout out Bleacher Report allowing us to be on here talk Houston Texans football. Always a big shout out to the man upstairs. Saludo todo mi gente out there. Harley, how's it going?
Doing great, man. Doing really good. Can't wait for the Houston Texans season to get here. That's basically what we're doing now.
Yeah, now we're in that stretch where there's literally nothing going to happen, as I think it's like 2 to 3 weeks where it's a break for everybody. And as everyone gets ready for training camp, this is your last bit of vacation you can have for your family, because as soon as it gets there, it's week 1 against Los Angeles Rams. That's what all eyes will be looking on as soon as training camp hits. Well, OTAs have come to an end. Mandatory mini camp has come to an end, Harley. And as we get to closer and closer to the season, I wanted to ask you about this Houston Texans team, and I'll run down position by position. Did the Houston Texans get better as they enter 2025? And this is a fun one because there were some position groups where I said, they didn't get better, but that's not really a bad thing. So as we start quarterback position, I would say the same. I would say, it didn't go up, it didn't go down. Your quarterback room, it starts with number 7. It's going to end with number 7. I will say, though, year 3, CJ Stroud, he looks locked in. Everything we wanted to see this offseason, which was 0 podcasts, 0 appearances. Well, I mean, he had a couple, but Rockets games and, other events where he was public speaking. Other than that, besides videos of him in the wild, we didn't hear from CJ Stroud. Sounds like he's locked in year 3. I am excited for it. And, this is a big year for him as we get to find out, can he be the guy that takes us, a step further? But it's not bad that your quarterback room stayed the same, though.
Yeah, and I think the only argument I can make here is, will the quarterback play be better in 2025?
That's a great
And
question.
the hope obviously is yes. With the new offensive coordinator and their plan at whatever it is to restructure and help reconfigure this whole offensive line and the game plan around it and the mindset and everything, the intangibles that we've talked about many times. That's the only argument in that I can say, because obviously nothing changed with the quarterback department, but can the play be better in 2025? As much as we blame the offensive line in 2024, and for the best reason, like they are the blame that they're going to get, a lot of that blame too has to be thrown towards CJ Stroud. There's multiple times where you could just see mentally it affected him, and how he maneuvered in the pocket was different than the way he did in 2023. Then you saw some inaccurate passes. So, hopefully flush the toilet, reset everything. Let's get him back into a locked in CJ Stroud, which that you already mentioned many examples this offseason. We've heard him talk at the podium as well. So, yeah, I'm hoping this is a better version of CJ Stroud, or if anything, a better rookie version of CJ Stroud. That would be elite quarterback play here in Houston.
Absolutely agree. The running back group. Now, this is where I would say it got better, because we knew going into this season, running back was a need for the Houston Texans, and the Texans addressed it in both the NFL draft. They selected Woody Marks in the later rounds at a USC. Then just a couple of days ago, I'm sorry, not weeks, they picked up free agent running back Nick Chubb on a 1-year, $2.5 million deal. I think your RB1 and 2 are solidified, and entering this year, Harley, I have more confidence in a Joe Mixon, Nick Chubb backfield than a Joe Mixon, Damian Pierce backfield entering 2025.
Yeah, I feel a lot more confident in the running back group. And that's even with the concerns about the injuries that Nick Chubb could have, especially the last 2 years. And, Joe Mixon just getting up in age, the injury factor is always going to be a question there too. But I still feel better about this running back group than I did last year. And That was with the addition of Joe Mixon. Now you have Mixon. You saw what he can do this previous year for you with a poor offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
You're hoping the O line can get to somewhere around an average offensive line play. Then you add in a Nick Chubb who has the ability to wear down defenses and could be a very good running back to spell Joe Mixon. And hopefully the injuries stir away from the conversation now that you can diminish some of those carries he has. He's
Mm-hmm.
not the bell cow back he once was. You get 80% of him. Yeah, those two running backs right there. The addition of drafting Woody Marks. You still have Damian Pierce. Like, we're having a tough situation here
Mm-hmm.
as to what we are going to do at the running back position because of the talent you have there right now. So yes, it did get better in 2025.
I think just the big question we're having right now is who's going to be RB3. Because when I go and look at the Los Angeles Rams type of running backs, when I go look at the New England Patriot types of running backs, I mean, the skill set's all over. And one thing that I did notice, though, when Nick Caley and Cole Popovich were together, the receiving running back was just frequent in the New England Patriots offense. Shout out to my guy Shane Vereen, the fantasy football demon. If you remember him, wouldn't get you 1,000 yards, will get you like 500, 600, but he'll also give you 500 receiving yards. I absolutely think Woody Marks, Harley, could potentially steal some reps away from Nick Chubb and maybe even Joe Mixon. I am excited for him.
Yeah, I'm excited for Woody Marks too. I still believe that the Nick Caley being the offensive coordinator had some sort of influence into getting a player like Woody Marks or somebody that has the characteristics of his football play. I think Nick Caley's very familiar with those
Mhm.
characteristics, and I think that's a reason why they went ahead and pulled the trigger into trading up and getting him.
Mm. Tight end group. Did they get better? Did they get worse? Dalton
Hmm.
Schultz, Brevin Jordan, Cade Stover. So the exact same group that was there last year. The tight end group wasn't a dangerous part of your offense in 2024. I'm kind of torn on this one, Harley, because I feel like if it didn't get better, this is kind of a negative here. Because I really still think Dalton Schultz is tied in one, but when Nick Caley says everyone needs to block, that's not exactly Dalton Schultz's skill set, right? That's more leaning to a Kate Stover. So even though I think Dalton could potentially be your tight end one, I mean, how many times is he out there? How many times is Brevin out there? Is Kate Stover out there? I wonder if this is going to be a tight end attack by committee. And I would say the same here then. I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would stay the
It's
same
a
as well
tough one.
too. It is tough because Nick Caley has the former tight ends coach title, and there's a lot of hype around it. But I'm also like, it's Rob Gronkowski.
Mhm.
How much did he really help that freak of a tight end? Like you can't teach anybody 6'6", 260. Like you can't teach that to a tight end. All right. The only thing that I can see is, oh, okay, Tyler Higbee had himself some pretty good years there with Nick Caley. But we'll see. We've heard some good stuff around Cade Stover, from D'Amico Ryans. We've also heard good stuff from Brevin Jordan from
Mhm.
D'Amico Ryans. So those are the two guys that I am eyeing more than Dalton Schultz. I am in the belief that, okay, you got at least four wide receivers that are going to be getting this football, as well
Mhm.
as Mixon, as well as Chubb. And even if Woody Marks gets anything, you know, Dalton Schultz you're not relying on him.
Mhm.
He's not a guy that you're going to be relying on like you did in 2024 when you had injuries. You were like, hey, Dalton, where you at, buddy? And the microscope got right under him. And it was like, okay, what's going on? What's doing it? The guy can't block. He doesn't have a willingness to block. He's dropping passes. He looks slow. He looks like he can't run routes anymore. Like there was a whole bunch last year with Dalton. Hopefully that has changed to where, okay, and we've seen a little bit with Cody Stoots talking about that he
Mhm.
did look lighter and a little bit better at his route running or whatever. So hopefully there is not a lot of pressure on him, because I do not want to rely on Dalton Schultz in 2025. I saw what that got me last year, and it's about 3 catches. He gives you 3 catches,
Yeah, 3
and it's
catches for
capped.
24 yards.
And that's it. That's it. Nothing past 30.
That's
Anything
it.
past that, and that's like,
Wow.
man, wow, good stuff, Dalton.
Moving on to the offensive line, I think we can say it got worse because you are without a 5-time Pro Bowl left tackle, but that's not saying that I think the offensive line is going to be worse than what it was last year when CJ Stroud was the second most sacked quarterback in the NFL. On paper, though, you have to say they took a step back when you have one of the best left tackles in the NFL go via trade to the Washington Commanders. But I am excited for this offensive line, and I think it has an opportunity to really shock some people. And once again, guys, me and Harley are not asking for a top 5, top 10 offensive line. You give us a middle of the pack, you give us the 20th offensive line, that's an improvement. And who knows what could happen? Because we saw CJ Shaw last year win 10 games, a division title, and a home playoff game with this offensive line. Let's see what he had, what he can do, similar to the offensive line we saw in his rookie year when he was getting MVP chance in the middle of the season. So I would say they got worse on paper, but I think the overall outlook of the offensive line with a new offensive line coach and run game coordinator and a new culture, it's going to get better.
Yeah, I agree with you. On paper, yeah, maybe not better, ish, because
Right?
you got rid of Kenyon Green, you got rid of Shaq Mason, but the biggest glaring is you got rid of Laramie Tunsil. And despite how we feel about him, you know that dude is a top 5 left tackle in the NFL and arguably the best pass blocking left tackle in football. So that's what you're losing, and you're replacing him with a middle of the road average left tackle in Cam Robinson. You
Mm-hmm.
know, but there's also some improvements in other spots, like having a veteran in Lincoln Tomlinson. You don't know what to expect out of the center position. There seems to be a lot of trust with Jake Andrews, and it seems like he might be the guy that is the starting center for the Houston Texans. Who knows? We've heard Jarrett Patterson being the guy that could be the backup. And then, unfortunately, Juice Scruggs seems to be nowhere to be found, unfortunately.
Didn't Landry call him Juice Blacklock?
Yes, he did.
Shout
I
out to
am
Ross
blocked by
Blacklock.
Ross Blacklock, so I would hate to be blocked by Juice Scruggs after my meme that I make of him. Um, right guard is Titus Howard. We'll get to that one in a minute. And then right tackle, Blake Fisher or Ariante Ursery. I still think it could be Fisher, though. I think ultimately the O line is not bad. I think they can return to a spot to where what you said, the 20th ranked O line. I don't need like I'm just expecting average O line play.
Mm-hmm.
Fall into 16th, I'm happy. But what I really love hearing is what Titus Howard has talked about with this offensive line. Talked about them having a chip on their shoulder. Said one word to describe Cole Popovich: nasty. Like these are some good stuff to hear from a guy in Titus Howard who we thought was very similar to Laramie Tunsil, a guy that, and I can't blame it. When he got here, Laramie put him under his arm and taught him the ropes. You don't, you're going to learn whatever your veteran taught
Mm-hmm.
you. And if that's Birkin bags and Louis Vuitton, clothing and apparel, then that's exactly what it is. And a lot of us felt like Titus Howard was similar to Laramie Tunsil,
Mm-hmm.
and I could see why there was a lot of, vitriol when it came to talking about Titus Howard. But now, I mean, you're talking about a guy that has transformed the way he looks at football. It feels like he looks like a visible leader now on the offensive line. And I have a hot take. I think Titus Howard's a Pro Bowler this year.
Okay. Titus Howard being a Pro Bowler. If that happens, then Laramie Tunsil really was a big issue
I
in that
really do.
locker room. Like legit. If Titus Howard immediately becomes a Pro Bowler, but I think you're seeing the signs of him becoming the
That
leader of the
sounds crazy.
offensive line room, right?
Feels
When
crazy.
when when that picture was posted of all the group together in the weight room, the guy in the middle, the guy flexing, it felt like
Mm-hmm.
it was his idea to take the photo, and that was Titus Howard up front. Because when you really do look at it, he's one of the most long tenured Houston Texan. He is
Yeah.
the remaining ghost of Bill O'Brien. So
Yeah.
he has some, he has some pelts on the wall, and this is his offensive line, Harley. He's acting
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah.
He's sounding like it. Talking about this is the most I've ever had, preseason, and he's talking about reps at right guard, talking about coaching being well. This sounds like a leader here. Okay, let me give you another hot take. You say Pro Bowler, I say captain also.
Oh yeah, that I actually believe. I
Mm.
don't even know if that one's gonna be. I know it feels like a hot take, and it probably is, but I feel like that's gonna happen. I feel like that's it because you just mentioned everything. You talked about the photo of him being in the center of the
That felt like it
photo,
was his idea.
and it felt like it just feels like he is the leader of the offensive line, and whatever happens to that offensive line, it just the implication I got from that interview between him and Aaron Wilson. Shout
Shout
out
out
to
to
Aaron
Aaron.
Wilson for the great interview there. But the implication I got from Titus Howard, the body language and how he's talking and everything, it felt like whatever happens to this offensive line, you can come to me and talk to me about it.
Mm.
And that's leadership compared to what we saw in that damn Vikings game. And when your supposed captain of the offensive line got questioned about penalties, got questioned about the pre-snap penalties, this dude, man, well, it's all on us. Instead of falling on the sword and taking accountability, he deflected it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what you want.
No.
And to me, I think Titus, that sounds crazy, but I do feel like this is maybe he's a Pro Bowler in 2025. That sounds
And
insane.
what would that say about your offensive line if you have a Pro Bowler?
Wow.
Come on now, let's dig deep.
And so if you have a Pro Bowler on the O line, you could still have an average offensive
Mm-hmm.
line and have a Pro Bowler. We saw the Cleveland Browns
Have two.
recently didn't have a good offensive line, but Joel Batonio still made it into the Pro Bowl. Now a lot of that is some name that comes into it, but and Titus don't have that name value, I think,
Which is
in the
why I'm saying,
NFL.
like, if this guy is a captain, if this guy is a Pro Bowler, someone who we would have never had this conversation about before, you would think this entire offensive line just completely changed.
I mean, if you're getting a Pro Bowl at the right guard position, that overall is going to help your right tackle. It's
Mhm.
also going to help the center as well too. Because that right side, which again, you predominantly are going to be running the football on the right side. And that just tells me you got someone like that opening up avenues for Joe Mixon and Nick Chubb. This offense is really going to have to be something special if you got a Pro Bowler on the line.
Mm. The wide receiving group, did they get better in 2025? Absolutely. They added 4 new bodies this offseason. 2 veterans, one of them with Super Bowl and deep playoff experience in Justin Watson. The other veteran, Braxton Berrios, a special teams demon, a locker room leader, been an all-pro as a special teamer. Then you added 2 wide receivers via the draft, both from the same college, Iowa State, where you got Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel. Now, we haven't seen Jalen Noel yet, but Jaden Higgins has been the talk of OTAs. He's been the talk of mandatory minicamp. And like I say, I even forgot about them because I said 4. The Houston Texans, they added 5 because they sent a 7th-round pick to the Jacksonville Jaguars in exchange for Christian Kirk. This wide receiving group got better. There's hands down. There's no conversation.
And it sounds crazy considering last year's group had Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, and Tank Dell.
Ooh.
And to say they got better sounds crazy. But I think the argument here is quantity over quality.
Yep.
And that is no dig at Stephon Diggs.
None.
Loved every minute of him rocking that Texans jersey. I wish we had him back.
Yeah.
I loved Stephon Diggs.
Go get that 60 mil though.
Hey, go get your money, man. Go party with Cardi B some more and have a little fun with the Tusi, you know.
Hey.
And, but Diggs, you know, I love what he did here last year in his 7 games, but it was unfortunate that he got an injury.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it has a bad light on that trade, but overall, I never disliked the trade, especially as the season went along. But when you look at this wide receiver group, okay, no Diggs, and Tank Dell's going to be out for the year, at least we think. You got Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, and then you mentioned Christian Kirk with Nico Collins. Like, and Jaden Higgins was one of the highlights of minicamp. Christian and Kirk was one of the highlights of minicamp. Jaden Higgins, you got people, you know, rubbing their eyes and going, man, was that Nico Collins? Like, and
Mike
this is
Evans?
a rookie. Woo. Exactly. And we had Mike, was it Mike Evans himself?
Yeah.
Talked about that he shows shades of Julio Jones when he sees Nico Collins.
Shout out to
That's
John
crazy.
Crumpler.
That's crazy. Shout out to John Crumpler. He did have that article 2 years ago, too.
2
that was before the breakout year, too. So the wide receiver group absolutely feels like it got better. And I think we're going to see a really good, like, even if there's an injury that happens, I feel confident in this wide receiver group to push along, next man up kind of stuff. I really like what we're seeing there.
Yeah, because last year it was like you got your 1, 2, 3, right? Like you got your top 3 options. That's it. And once they were gone, it was like, well, who do you have left? And Xavier Hutchinson, John Mechie. I'm sorry, they just couldn't do it. This year with 5 additions and plus the guys we already mentioned, you got about 8 wide receivers just fighting for reps. I absolutely love that. Wide receiving core got better. Moving on to the defense, we're going to get 8 minutes left. So if we have some stuff left over, we'll move on to another episode. But let's start with the secondary here. Your additions, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Your subtractions, Eric Murray, Ronald Darby. Don't know what's going to happen with Jimmy Ward. So, you know, we'll leave that to the side. But your secondary got better, Harley.
Yeah, your secondary definitely got better. And it's scary. This defense got better. This is scary. And this is intimidating. Mm-hmm. All right. This is some scary ass shit when it comes to the damn opposing offenses that look into the secondary, that look at this defense, look at the D line and the linebackers. All 3 levels of this defense got better. How do you play against this defense? I'm trying to figure it out. Like, I pity Trevor Lawrence, whatever quarterback the Colts have, and Cam Ward. I pity them. I feel sorry for them. My goodness, you got to go against this defense twice on the road or at home. It don't matter. This defense is going to continue to create turnovers. The secondary is going to be a big part of that. And, oh, by the way, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, a big turnover guy, you know, just 28 games as a Philadelphia Eagle, 12 interceptions. That's nasty.
You know, you also have one of the best cornerbacks, if not the best cornerback in the NFL, in Derek Stingley Jr., the highest paid cornerback in the NFL. Opposite of him, you have a second-year cornerback, but in year 1 was graded as a top 10 cornerback in Kamari Lassiter. And then paired next to C.J. Gardner-Johnson, your ball hawk and safety, Caleb Bullock. Man, it's going to be hard to throw against this defense. Like we said, we already felt like this secondary was one of the best in the NFL. Then you added one of the best safeties in the NFL via trade. Shout out to Kenyon Green. Your secondary, Crazy to say this unit got better. Your linebacking core, I mean, it stayed the same, but what I am intrigued for, and it's someone who we haven't talked about a lot, is year 3 Henry To'oTo'o.
Mm.
Because the jump that he took from from 1 to 2 surprised everyone. This was a late round draft pick, and he started for you in year 2 and just immediately blossomed on the field for you. Every week we were like, wow, Henry To'oTo'o. There was a funny joke in Texans Twitter where his last name was Henry Noah Noah. Shout out to AD, but his play, man, has really just increased. I think your linebacking core got a little bit better, just a little, just a tad.
I think it did get better actually because I think EJ Speed is a big
You did, yep.
addition for
I
this
forgot about EJ.
defense, and with him, Aziz, and Henry T, I think just those three, your linebackers got better because you were relying a little more on a Neville Hewitt, a Jake Hansen, and whoever else, whether that was Jalen Petrie as well. But it got better just talking about those three guys.
Mm-hmm.
It could get, and this is where I changed the combo, it could get exponentially better if Christian Harris is back to where he's back to be. That linebacker group is different. And I love Henry T. I love the improvements he's made. But athletically, he cannot touch what Christian Harris is.
No, I don't think a lot of people can.
Exactly. There are levels to this, and Christian Harris is at a different level at 100% compared to the rest of these linebackers. But it don't matter if he's hurt, he's hurt.
Mm-hmm.
It don't work out, don't work out. That's why you went out and got EJ Speed. Okay,
I'm excited
something
for EJ.
happens, we can rely on this guy too. Because this man was not only a leading tackler with their Indianapolis Colts, but we know what the Miko Ryans can do here with a linebacker to sprinkle that pixie dust and have them working here and swarming with that H-Town red, that Liberty white, that damn deep steel blue. You know how it is, man.
Have we seen Christian Harris yet?
We have not. D'Amico Ryans talked about him and said that he will be ready to roll for training camp. So, if they're going to be batting 1,000, they talked about CJ.
Yep.
They want to bat 1,000. Here we go with Christian Harris, supposed to be ready to roll.
No one knows more than my players and me. That was a quote from head coach D'Amico Ryans. Your defensive line. You re-signed Danielle Hunter on a 1-year deal. You brought in Darrell Taylor, who had 10 sacks just 2 years ago with Seattle Seahawks. You brought back Derek Barnett, had just 2 defensive touchdowns for you last year and 5 sacks. And, of course, you got Will Anderson Jr. Now, you're very high on Darrell Taylor. So, did this defensive line, did these edges get better?
Yeah. Ooh, which is scary. It's just scary to think about. You got
How good
everyone
can this defense
back,
be, Harley?
everyone back from last year. And then you also added Darrell Taylor, who just had 9.5 sacks 2 years ago.
I love it.
This defense has the potential to be the best in football. It was already ranked a top 3 defense according to PFF. And I can't wait to see what this defense does in 2025. You want me to say the magic word? I said it last year. I'll say it again. This is a Super Bowl caliber defense.
No, I thought you were gonna say, you want another hot take, Ruben? This might be the best defense in Houston Texan history.
We're gonna have to see the results for that one. We're gonna have to see the results.
Yeah. This one we have to wait.
Talent-wise, there's a lot of talent.
Oh, there is.
But we have to take a look at it because then you're looking at Antonio Smith, J.J. Watt, Connor Barwin. Brooks Reed was a backup, by the way, when it officially started because he had Mario Williams, who then got hurt. Brooks Reed came in. I mean, J.J., Kareem, Daniel Manning, Clover Quinn. You had D'Amico and Cushing.
And then Brian Brayman going crazy on special teams. Shout out to your post, by the way.
Love that one. Love that one.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this Houston Texans team got better. There's no doubt about it. We will be back on Wednesday to talk about whatever the hell this Houston Texans team has done between now and then. For more Houston Texans content, feel free to come to tomorrow's episode. Our guy James Roy will be handling it on his own. Do us all a favor. Have a real blessed rest of your night.